Hello everyone. In this video, we are going to see about what are the user-defined data types in C language. Basically, there are three types of user-defined data types in C language that are structure, union, and enum. So first, we will see about what is structure. Structure is a user-defined data type in C language as we know, and it is used to store different types of data together. So we have declared variables of data types such as char, int, long, double, etc. But what if we declare all the variables of different data types together? And that is structure. So structure is created for some entity, and what is an entity? Anything and everything that has some characteristic and function is called as entity. For example, if we consider book, that is an entity as it contains some characteristics like book number and page number, number of pages, and the author. So the functions include like reading, writing, etc. So book is an entity. So basically we create structure for some entity, and all the variables, that is the characteristics and functions that we declare inside the structure, is related with the entity for which we create the structure. So how to declare a structure in terms of programming? First you have to give the struct keyword and then the name of the structure, and by rule the name of the structure starts with capital letter, and then inside the curly brackets we declare all the variables and functions related to the entity for which we create the structure. And all those characteristics and functions that we declare inside the structure is called as member variables. And at the end, we finish the declaration by giving an semicolon. Now we'll see how to implement a structure in terms of C programming. In this program, I have declared an structure for the book entity, and inside the structure, I have declared all the necessary variables for the book entity. So the book entity contains a book number and the name of the book and the author of the book and so on. So I have declared some three variables inside the structure, and to access the variables of the structure book, I have to access them through some object. So how to create an object? It's very simple. In the main section, just give the struct keyword and the name of the structure and some variable. And this variable acts as an object to the structure book. So we can just access the variables through this object b1. b1.booknum is equals to 1. And I have access to booknum variable using an object b1, that is b1.booknum is equals to 1. And to assign the string values to these variables, I have used strcpy function. This is an inbuilt function in C language, and to use this function, we have to include the string.h header file. And basically, what this strcpy does is that the string value that we give here is copied or assigned to a string variable that we give here. So that's how we assign these string values to the string variables in structure book. So Harry Potter is assigned to the book name, and the JK Roundings is assigned to the book author. You may ask why I haven't assigned these string values same as the book num. It's because a string variables have a property that if you declare a string variable, then you have to assign values to it at the same time. You cannot assign a value to a string variable after declaring the string variable. So here if you want to assign a string value to a string variable after we declare a string variable, then we have to use the function strcpy, and then we print the necessary details about this structure book, and all the values that are assigned are printed in order. So here also we have accessed the variables. So here also we have accessed the variables using the object b1. So always we can access an structure variable using an object created for that structure. Okay. So now let us run this program. So this is the output. Details of rare book collections and book number 1, book name Harry Potter, book author J.K. Rowling's. So that's all about structure. Now let us see about what is a union. It is a user defined data type, as we know, and it is used to store different types of data together, very similar to the structure. And the union is declared with the keyword union. This union occupies memory equal to the highest memory occupied by one of the member variables. So you will understand about this statement in more detail when we see this in terms of programming. So this is a declaration of the union in terms of programming. So it is very similar to the structure. We just have to change the struct keyword into union, and then everything is same as a structure. Now let us implement the union in terms of C programming. So this is the program for the structure. So the union is very similar to the structure. We just have to change the struct keyword into union, and then everything is same as that of structure. And here also we have to change it into union, and everything is pretty much the same. So now let us get into the property that we discussed earlier. Union occupies memory equal to the highest memory occupied by one of the member variables. So we know what is a member variables. So if we see here, can you identify which member variable occupies a highest memory? So it is a string variables that occupies a highest memory. So it occupies a bytes of around 30 bytes, and similar to the book author. So you can see that the book name and book author occupies an equal amount of bytes in the memory. So which is greater than the book name. So according to the property, the union occupies memory equal to that the highest memory occupied by one of the member variables. So the union does not occupy the total bytes occupied by all the member variables. It only occupies a memory equal to the highest memory occupied by one of the member variables. So in this case, a union occupies a 30 bytes of memory. So if it is a structure, it would have occupied um, the total bytes occupied by all of the member variables. So this is a union property. So this union occupies a 30 bytes of memory. And there's another property for a union, that is, if I execute this statement, so you may notice that there are some weird values for all the variables, but you may see that the book author variable is the only variable that has been assigned with an proper value. And why is that? Of union, if a value is assigned to one variable, then we have to access it right away. So if I hide this statement, Then if we run the same program again, we may get that book name has the proper value. So, so the last variable that has been assigned with a value is the variable that is printed with a proper value. So as soon as we assign a value to a variable, we have to use it. So that's all about union, and we'll see about what is a enum in the next video. Until then, this is CS Coder signing off.